If you feel stuck, lie in bed or sit in a chair and Google Wim HOF Breathing, find the very popular 11-minute video and try that. And honestly, it's a very, very unique experience, and it'll get you out of your rut.
Hi, I'm Joe Templin, author of Amazon Kindle #1 new release, Everyday Excellence, and Human Swiss Army Knife. This is the Human Kaizen Podcast, a conversation with interesting individuals that embody excellence and can help make you better. My guest today is pretty freaking awesome, actually. Ed Sturm. He is the founder of Commit Club, which was something that he and I had a great conversation about last week. Beyond that, though, he's created viral videos that have reached hundreds of millions of viewers. He's been on Good Morning America and The Today Show. He created the first play-to-earn crypto game. He's an absolute SEO whiz, and he's got a couple ideas around that. And one of the reasons why he and I have connected so well is because he, too, is a self-development addict. Ed, what are you reading or learning right now?
What am I reading or learning? That is a great starter question. Hey, and thank
you. Bang!
Yeah,
here we go.
Right out of the gate. You know, normally I read nonfiction, and I'm traveling. I'm in Bucharest, Romania now, and some friends of mine, they sold their startup. They did really well. They went through Y Combinator, one of the biggest startup accelerators, not the biggest startup accelerator in the world. And so they sold their startup, and they're building a remote office out here. And one of the founders, I was asking him, like, for a book. I was asking them both for book recommendations. And usually technology founders recommend nonfiction, especially successful ones. They recommend nonfiction. But this guy was like, well, you read fiction? I'm like, yeah. But I never read it. But he's like, and so he recommended, what I wanted a book with a stoic protagonist that has like a happy ending. That is a positive book, because I like stoicism.
So not John Wick.
What? I mean,
not John Wick.
John Wick is stoic.
Yeah, but he doesn't get a happy ending.
No, he always wins. I mean, but bad stuff happens in him.
He doesn't die, so I guess that's a happy ending.
He doesn't die. That's a happy ending. And especially with what John Wick goes through. But so this guy, to my surprise, he recommended some Star Wars fiction. It's this book called Thrawn. And Thrawn is this very stoic character. And at first I didn't like it. And I do audiobooks because I'm a slow reader, and I love to read. I love to consume, but I'm a slow reader. So I do audiobooks, and it's super well produced on Audible. But I thought the writing was a bit childish, and I almost stopped listening to it. And now, like, I'm at a point where I'm just like, oh, snap, this is really good. Like, oh my God, like, I want to know what's going to happen. And I personally derive many lessons from strong stoic characters. It's something that I resonate with a lot. I don't care if a character is real or fictitious. I just want the ideal lessons in my mind for me to strive towards. And so this Star Wars book, Thrawn, this sci-fi book set in a galaxy far, far away, it gives me those lessons. So that's what I'm reading.
Awesome.
Relearning.
Cool.
Relearning. I'm always relearning stuff.
I love it. So you've had a really interesting journey, very similar to me, a lot of detours, a lot of side quests along the way. So
dude, I'm still on a detour. I don't even know where my path is going. I'm still figuring it out.
So let's talk about where you are now. You're sitting there in Romania. And what are you working on?
I'm doing this project called Commit Club. I've been working on it for almost 2 years, maybe a year and a half. Yeah, a year and a half. We started it in April of 2020. In Commit Club, you stake money on your ability to follow through with a daily challenge or a daily habit. And every day that you do your habit, you get a portion of your stake back. And if you miss a day, you lose whatever you haven't earned back. And whatever you lose gets distributed to everybody else who is being successful. So every day that you do your challenge, your habit, you get your own money back, and then you get the money from the people who don't do their challenges. And that, like we call it the loser pool money, that money is also given to charities. And if we partner with an organization, it's given to that organization too. We want to create a very effective way, a very effective app for people to take on and follow through with positive habits.
Cool. Because when we were talking last time, we talked a little bit about my background in terms of coaching individuals very often in financial services and some of the accountability games that I've played with them. Like I've got 2 women who I'm coaching right now in an office, and if they don't do what they're supposed to do every single day, they have to do 50 burpees.
Oh, wow.
And like all humans, they hate burpees.
Burpees are hard. I did when I was living in Bulgaria a couple of months ago, and I did a 30-day burpee challenge where I did, it was 10 burpees. So every day increased by 10 burpees. So the first day was 10 burpees, and then I made it all the way up to 100, and then I went back down to 10, and then I went back up to 100. So up and down the side of the scale. And it was a great challenge. Like day 15, I'm like, oh my God, my abs are back. Nice. Like my definition is back. Sweet. Yeah.
And over 30 days, almost anyone can change their situation, whether it's their production in their office, their physical health. They can, cut out or cut down on the TV or the fried foods or the sugar or the drinking or whatever. So talk to me about challenges, these 30-day challenges that you're codifying with Commit Club.
Yeah, I'm a huge proponent of 30-day challenges. I've done more than I can count in my life. I started doing them 11 years ago. In fact, like if you Google 30-day challenge builder, we rank number 1 for that. And we made this 30-day challenge builder within Commit Club. And actually, we were just mentioned on healthline.com. Like I discovered this morning, like healthline.com is one of the biggest health and wellness publications on the internet. And our 30-day challenge builder was mentioned in it. The idea of a 30-day challenge is you say you're going to do something every single day for 30 days straight, 30 consecutive days. And usually there's some punishment for if you don't do it, because you want, like, the idea is it's a challenge. And if you fail the challenge, there are consequences. And so oftentimes that negative consequence is you lose money. A common one might be like giving a friend money, and every day you do what you say you're going to do, the friend gives you back that money. Or it could be like some social pressure, some peer pressure, where you share with a bunch of people, look, I started this 30-day challenge, please help me stay accountable. And then if you don't do your 30-day challenge, you look bad. Some people do 30-day challenges just to themselves. And they just promise it to themselves. When I started doing 30-day challenge, I used money. And then over the years, my willpower was able to really develop a lot. And now I can do a difficult 30-day challenge and usually stick with it without money. But for some things, I need money. Like when I did the burpee challenge, I put like $200 on the line using Commit Club because I was just like, I hate burpees. And they're the best. I mean,
so the more that difficult it is, the more you need to have on the line.
That's what it is.
So somebody who's going to, say, not be able to walk their kid down the aisle because they're going to die because of smoking, that's a good incentive to give up smoking.
That's a great incentive to give up smoking. And the amazing thing about 30-day challenges and why I'm such a huge proponent is because 30-day challenges take a one-time difficult but positive behavior and turn that into a habit that requires little willpower. And that's why I think 30-day challenges, you do something every single day for 30 days, and then it's easy for you to continue doing it. But those 30 days are the hardest part. And that's why you need some negative consequence in order to follow through with the 30-day challenge.
I agree. Now, one of the things is I used to do something very similar. Each month I would either add or subtract something new into what I was doing. And it rotated. So like In January one year, I didn't drink alcohol at all. Then the next month, I gave up all fried food.
Yeah.
Then the month after that, I added in 100 push-ups every single day. And when you get to the end of the
did you added these onto one another, or like?
No, I didn't add them onto one another. I replaced them. So after January was done, I could have a Guinness.
It makes sense. I do stuff like that for sure.
Because I had not had any alcohol for that entire month. I had a couple of Guinness the first day, and then the desire for it has really damped down.
Yeah.
A month with no fried food. Okay, then I had a donut, and it's like I don't feel like having any more. And so your consumption of something that is not necessarily horrible for you. It's not like it's cocaine or smoking or anything like that. It's just not on the list of good things. You go down to having a lot more control and willpower over it. So you don't desire it at all. It's breaking the desire. So if I want to have a donut, I can have a donut. If I don't, if there's no donuts, I'm not going to go out of my way. I'm not going to be jonesing or anything like that. And just cycling like that, because we can do anything for 4 weeks, 30, 31 days, and having an end to it then makes it a little bit easier. It's sort of like being able to have a cheat day on a diet actually helps, because it gives a little bit of a safety valve to allow some pressure to get free so that you can be not perfect, but still much better.
That's what it is. It removes most of the cravings. And so you can, after the 30-day challenge, if you're like quitting something, like quitting smoking, or hopefully you don't want to restart smoking, but or like I think quitting sugar is a very common one. But then you remove the craving a lot, and it's like you can have that donut every so often, but you're not like, I need that donut. So 30-day challenges are cool for either quitting bad habits or starting new ones. And they're used very commonly for both. Quit smoking is a very popular one. Quitting sugar is a very popular one. Starting meditation, another popular one. We're doing a gratitude challenge. I actually, I want to make this a popular challenge. I call it the Become a Saint Challenge. And you do one random act of kindness every single day for 30 days straight. So Become a Saint Challenge. I'm going to make it a thing. I think it's such a cool idea. One random act of kindness every day. Come on.
Well, that actually goes back to the old days of Cub Scouts and Boy Scouts, where they were told, do a good turn every day. And so you go and you do something every single day to try and help somebody where you're not going to get anything for it. It's like, helping the little old lady across the street, or shoveling the snow, or just doing something for somebody else.
You do get something for it because it improves your mind and it makes you happier. And you don't realize that you're getting something for it, but you are, because that sense of satisfaction when you help people and you become a saint, you get everything.
Well, a lot of people have heard me talk about this before, but my mom, the nun, yes, my mom was a nun, taught us that when you're having a bad day, go help somebody else out.
Wow. That's a cool idea.
Always focus on doing it.
Yo. Fuck. Sorry, can I curse on this? Sorry. You can.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's I haven't heard that, and that's amazing. That's a really cool thought. When you're having a bad day, go, I'll just go and, I don't know, buy an apple and give it to someone on the street who needs it.
Pay for somebody's coffee. Yeah. Pick up some garbage on the street. Just something little that improves the environment for somebody else.
I think the random act, I think the Become a Saint Challenge, the random act of kindness challenge could be like a real thing. Like, I think that could become a huge thing. Like, man, what I'll do after this is I'll make a landing page for the Become a Saint Challenge, and then I'll launch that on Product Hunt. Like, I see what coffee. It's coffee fueled ideas right now. This is coffee. Look what it says. Look what it
awesome.
Look what it says. Look what it says on my mug.
I will commit.
If you can dream it, you can do it. It's reverse. If you can dream it, you can do it.
You can do it.
But
awesome.
I'm just like, let's make doing acts of kindness every day. It's kind of a thing, but let's make it more of a thing.
Yeah, let's make it normal, as opposed to people look at you weird, like, what are you doing helping other people?
I was, like I said, I'm in Romania now, but I was back home in New York a month and a half ago, and I was there for 3 months. I hadn't been home in 3 years before that. I was out of the country for 3 consecutive years. I was living in Ukraine when COVID happened, and then I decided to stay in Kiev at that time in Ukraine. And then one thing led to another. I went to all these different countries, and I was out for 3 years. But so I was back in New York, and I was walking down the street. I was going to see a friend. I was in, I think I was in Bed-Stuy, and there were these 2 girls walking towards me, and one of them just threw a piece of trash onto the sidewalk. It was like it was just a piece of, it was like a hamburger wrapper or something. Just threw a piece of trash, just blatantly, just walking with a friend, threw this piece of trash onto the freaking sidewalk. And like there are garbages around. New York City has garbages on every street corner, and or like literally could have put it in somebody's garbage in their yard. Like, and she just. It was a big piece of trash too. It wasn't like a small piece of trash. It was like a big piece of trash. She just tossed it on the ground, and I'm just, man, I'm just like, we all need to be better people. Like that drove me crazy.
I can see it, and it does when you see somebody who is not just ignorant, but actively goes out of their way to do something that negatively impacts others, and you're like, you're the reason why animals eat their young.
The reason why animals eat their young. Yeah, it was. I don't know. That really bothered me to the point that like it's like several months later, and I still think about that because I would bet that's not a good person. I don't know. I would bet the type of person who throws trash on the street isn't a good person.
That's part of the idea behind the broken window theory. In a lot of ways, was that if you have control over the little things, the big things never get a chance to happen. If you make your bed in the morning, like Abigail McRaven talks about in that one speech, you then have attention to the detail in the other things. And so it's like your 30-day challenge. It's a little thing of exercising willpower or exercising positive thoughts and doing good.
It's the cornerstone
and
habit.
It then ripples.
It's the cornerstone habit. I think I love that book. I've listened to that book back when I was living in Kiev like a year ago. And I make my bed every morning. And I've been doing that for years. And I think that I have probably 2 cornerstone habits. It's either making my bed or doing meditation. But there are days that go by occasionally where I don't meditate. But there is never a day where I don't make my bed. I always make my bed every morning. Always make my bed. That's like, the cornerstone habits, those are key.
So you make your bed like right when you get up. Basically first thing.
Yeah, so something else that I started, another habit that I started this 3 years ago. I was living in Lviv in Western Ukraine, and I was on a date. And this guy overheard me speaking, and he's like, "Yo, where are you from?" I'm like, "I'm from Brooklyn." And he used to live in Brooklyn, and he's from San Diego. And we became friends. And then I needed a place to crash because I had to get out of my Airbnb. My flight was in several hours, and I didn't want to stay at the airport, and I didn't want to go to like a restaurant with all my luggage. So I went to his place, and he told me that, or he ate in front of me like a raw piece of garlic. And I asked him about it. He said he'd been doing that for years, eating raw garlic every morning. And I had heard about that, like here and there, and I thought about trying it. And I love the taste of garlic, especially raw garlic. But I thought it would just like make my entire body smell bad. And he didn't smell at all. And I'm like, wow, like you don't smell at all. You've been doing this every day for years. He's like, yeah, for years. And so when I got to Kiev, because that day I flew from Lviv in Western Ukraine to Kiev, when I got to Kiev, I bought a clove of garlic. And the next morning, I had raw garlic. And so that's another habit that I've incorporated. Every day I have raw garlic right when I wake up. So sometimes I make my bed first thing. Sometimes I get up and have the garlic, and it wakes me up too. And then I make my bed. That's how that tangent story went. And then I make my bed.
So it's a loose habit stack for your morning.
Yeah, I do. I have a loose habit stack for my morning. Yeah. And then the other habit that I do the other habit that I always do is I do minimum 10 minutes Wim HOF breathing. He has this great video on YouTube. Maybe you've seen it. It has like 21 million views or something, maybe 41. I mean, Justin Bieber went on Ellen DeGeneres to talk about how incredible Wim Hof method is. Wim Hof breathing is this method of oxygenating your blood, and it really makes you feel incredible and so good. And when anyone is having a stressful time, I advise them, I'm just like, listen, this takes 10 minutes. It's guided. Put on your headphones. Try this. Just don't do it on a full stomach. But because you're not supposed to, because you breathe into your belly and you breathe really deep. So you're not supposed to do it on a full belly. And that's incredible too. So I do Wim Hof breathing every single morning. And this one, I'm not consistent, but then I also try to do 20 minutes of open eye meditation right after the Wim Hof breathing. But sometimes I don't do that. My minimum habit stack in the morning is make my bed, have garlic, and do 10 minutes Wim Hof breathing. If I was to rank what I do the most, I would say I always make my bed. I almost always, pretty much nearly always also have the garlic. And then I almost always, maybe I'll miss like 2 days out of a month. I do the 10-minute Wim Hof breathing. And then the 20-minute meditation, maybe I'll miss like 5 days out of a month or 4 days out of a month. So
you're good, but you're not perfect. You're not quite a saint, but you're human.
I'm a saint with a few things, making my bed and the garlic. I'm a garlicky saint. I'm a garlicky saint with his bed made. And I'm mostly Zen because of the meditation. And yeah.
Now, you had mentioned that Wim Hof method.
Have you tried it?
Video has had like 20 plus million hits.
Yeah.
And you had talked earlier about how many hundreds of millions of hits you've gotten in terms of other things.
I was a star, Joe.
So talk to my listeners a little bit about that, because one of the things about the Human Kaizen podcast is getting better, and getting into that sort of realm. That's the sort of space that some people like envision or want to try and achieve. So how did you start, and how did you reach those heights?
Yeah, well, so let me tell you, I was bullied in high school. During lunch breaks, I would always go and sit in an empty room by myself where no one would bother me and sit on my computer. I had all this social anxiety, and I was a weird kid. And fortunately, I went to
eats garlic.
What?
Weird kid that eats garlic.
Weird kid. I didn't eat garlic at the time, and that probably would have added to the weird. that probably would have added to my ostracism if I had. And when I think this was, it was right after I graduated college, and I had some good friends from college, but I realized that I could improve my social skills, and that if I really pushed actually it was in college. Sorry, this is I'm going back in the time machine. I realized in college that if I constantly pushed my comfort zone, I'd get into cool situations and live an interesting life. And so when I was I wanted to have stories to tell too, because I felt like I didn't have any interesting stories to tell, which is wrong. Honestly, you don't even have to be an interesting person to have an interesting story to tell. You just need to, you don't have to have interesting stories to tell. You just need to be an interesting person. I'm an interesting person and I have interesting stories to tell, but I could also talk about making my coffee in a way that is engaging and interesting. But I didn't realize that at the time, and I said I wanted to have interesting stories to tell. So I made my first viral video. It was some driving video, got a few 100,000 views in college. And then actually not long after that, we made a music video for Deadmau5's Raise Your Weapon, and that has several 100,000 views as well. We shot that in the snow in New Jersey, and my hands almost fell off because it was so cold. And I was probably 19 at the time. And the huge hits came when I graduated, the really big hits. So we threw New York City's Harlem Shake with 300 strangers from Reddit. and I led everyone because I had really been pushing myself. For me to like lead and direct, and there is behind the scene footage of this on YouTube, for me to coordinate 300 strangers in Times Square with like the police eyeing me and hating me because we didn't have any permits. That was crazy. And I had been really pushing myself, my comfort zone before that, which is why I was able to take on that level of stress. Well, that's another story. But, and we took, I took my friend and I, we did this together. I said to my friend, I'm like, you're the type of person who could be famous. Like, if I didn't know better, I'd be like, this guy's freaking famous. I'm like, what would happen if we like walked you through Times Square with fake paparazzi? And so we walked him through Times Square with fake paparazzi, fake bodyguards, a fake publicist, a fake assistant. And we stopped traffic because there were so many crowds around him. Everyone wanted to take a picture with him. The NYPD wanted to take pictures. Everyone thought he was an A-list celebrity. And we went on all these TV shows because that went so viral. We were number one on Reddit. That was when like being number one on Reddit really meant something. We were trending on like YouTube. We were trending number one on like, because YouTube used to have like most popular this week or something. Trending number one on that. So we made these like crazy viral videos. But what's interesting is, and going back to the topic of self-development, when I graduated college, I realized that I could like become cooler, and I started working in New York City nightlife in order to do that, and talking to strangers, talking to whoever, talking to people who I viewed as being so much more like, I don't know, high level than me, and taking on more like social pressure, and that was able to help me do these crazy viral videos where there were so many different people involved and I was a leader. And I guess that's a little bit of the viral.
So working right at the edge of your comfort zone really ended up pushing your comfort zone out there to the point where you did.
I was obsessed. I was obsessed with pushing it. Yeah, I was obsessed with pushing my comfort zone. I wanted to talk to like anyone, and it's like the way that I saw it is like I don't know, maybe I'll be red in the face and I'll start sweating, but like crack a few eggs to make an omelet. And I know I had that like overall vision in my mind that I'm just over time, I'm becoming better, and I'm becoming more comfortable with myself, more an authentic person, more engaging, and I believed at the time, and I still do, happier.
Now, in this process, there were some failures in there. I mean, you probably got like in trouble with somebody, or maybe like slapped or embarrassed. Give us one of the horror stories from that, so that people don't think, oh, you just do this and all of a sudden you're getting 100 million views.
Our follow-up to the fake celebrity video, that one, everyone thought that we were going to kill the next one. They're like, okay, these guys have made like all these hits, and we started being like, oh yeah, we're magic. And the next video that we launched, that one, it got like 100,000 views, and in comparison to like hundreds of millions with the previous one, which went super viral because the previous one was syndicated internationally. And I think with all of the TV views, it's like, yeah, several hundred million. And then the other one only got like 100,000. But I've been embarrassed in front of large groups where like I would be talking to someone who was just like really cool. This was like I was young and I would get intimidated by people, and I'd be talking to someone who was really cool, and I'd just start feeling weird. And then that person would be like in front of their friends. All right, it was like nice to meet you, and it'd be very clear that they were like pushing me off, and that would be embarrassing. I mean, there were instances where I'd be in a new city, I didn't have any connections, and I tried to go to some like exclusive event, and like in front of everyone, they'd be like, no, get that out of here. Like, and I like, why did I try to go to that event that I wasn't supposed to go to? Because like, push yourself. Like what, like maybe I'll go and get in and then meet some interesting people, and doing things like that, or like, doing things like that. I won't talk about that. I've done some other.
Yeah, we'll talk about some of those other ones offline.
But yeah, like I've been embarrassed in front of so many people. I've had insane expectations that fell short, and I've somehow remained. I'm like a pretty positive person. I'm one of the most positive people that I know, and I always view the bad things as making myself stronger. And I actually view that to meditation, because I've been meditating every day for the last 12 years, pretty much every day for the last 12 years. And I think it's just made what I call my baseline happiness, maybe that's like a term, my baseline happiness trend upwards over time. And I see everything as like, I kind of view, how this is actually, I came to this realization. I was 19 years old and I was interning at WABC. And I remember this day because I walked out of the subway at Columbus Circle. Across from me was the Time Warner building, the two towers, the Time Warner towers. And I was walking to the ABC offices. And I loved video games growing up. And I realized, you know what? Like, life is basically just like, and I remember this would be like 19 years old. I'm like, life is basically a role-playing game. And you have these different aspects of your life. And whatever you are doing is leveling up those different aspects, those different skills. And so I like had this like crazy epiphany. I remember like feeling this crazy epiphany. And then I'm like, I can actually do things that increase those skills. Wow. I was in college. So that's when I realized I could push my comfort zone and do this. And then you get these different tool sets that you can use to solve different problems. And, I just thought it was the coolest thing. And so that's the lens that I look at life through. So whenever something bad happens to me, I'm just like, it makes me stronger. And yeah, I could go really, really like metaphysical self-actualization on that stuff. But the baseline is like, I'm growing because everything I do adds to those different traits of my character.
And sometimes, like on that great big video game of life or role-playing game, you got to take the side quest. You got to go into the tavern and talk to the weird old man and get the little bit of information that you need. Or you go, be a sellsword for a little bit to make some gold to finance your campaign. Or, you go and you get some skills someplace that you bring into play later on in the game and you're not aware that you're going to need them. So if you look at every single one of these detours as a side quest from the main quest,
I love that,
and try and get something out of it that you can use.
Yeah, I love that, and I love the way that you described, like you gave these specific examples of the detours. Absolutely. People might say, okay, well, what about like people who just live who have lived a mediocre life and now they're older and they're trying something. And so my ultimate belief about life is we're all interconnected and we're all actually like one consciousness, and which is reflected in a lot of different texts all around the world. And there's a really good story by Andy Weir, famous science fiction writer, but he wrote this story called The Egg, incredible. And Kurzgesagt, one of the most popular channels on YouTube, they make educational videos. They actually did an animated video for The Egg, and it's one of my favorite things to show people. But so, I believe we're all one consciousness, and the ultimate purpose of life is to grow yourself, to grow the consciousness. And we're all growing the consciousness. And so if you look at life through that lens, even the people who have lived, for lack of a better word, bad lives, have contributed to the understanding of the overall consciousness. And The Egg would say that then the purpose is to like get that consciousness to a level where it can graduate to something we can't even comprehend. That's what that's what is in The Egg. Like other people who who have like studied simulation theory that a lot of people say we're like bacteria in a gut, and like the bacteria in our gut can't comprehend us, or it's like the Flatlanders, the 2D playing cards who can't understand what the 3D world is. So you're like the king, you're like the king of the cards, but you can't, or the Joker or whatever, but you can't comprehend the 3D world. And I think life is like similar to that. There's like these levels that we can't even comprehend, but the ultimate purpose is to grow. Is to grow.
And you could be 65, 70 years old, and as long as you're not dead, you can keep growing.
As long as you're not dead, you can keep growing. That's really it. As long as there's so many different ways that you can grow too. And happiness is relative. Happiness is freaking relative. So like you can always grow, and you can always you can do that RPG in your mind, and people do with different with deep meditation exercises. So yeah, I'm very big on this whole like RPG view on life, and the purpose is to grow, is to grow and mature yourself.
I love that. So, I've got the visions of Bilbo Baggins running down the path. I'm going on an adventure. I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah. We're all just Bilbo Baggins leaving the Shire.
So
little hobbits.
What would you tell somebody, in terms of their RPG if, they're stuck, or it seems like they're beating their head against the wall, or they're at a dead end? What bit of advice would you give to my listeners saying, hey, this is how to be able to continue to level up even though you might be on a plateau?
Well, one, there's never really a plateau. We can always grow in different ways. But to people who feel stuck, if you feel stuck, lie in bed or sit in a chair and Google Wim HOF breathing, find the very popular 11-minute video and try that. And honestly, it's a very, very unique experience, and it'll get you out of your rut. If you feel like you're stuck, honestly, like I think everybody's lives contribute to the overall good in the world. It's a more simplistic way of explaining my philosophy. Try something really little. The meditation, the breathing exercise that I just said is great. Or go out. Honestly, go out if you can. Go outside. In fact, right before this call, because I've been at my computer all day and I've been on calls, and I was feeling tired, and I was just like I can't work anymore, and I felt stuck, and I went for a walk, and then I felt great. I went for a walk in the sun, and then I felt great. And go for a walk if you can. That'll help a lot. And then while you're out, try to hold the door open for someone, or try to buy someone an apple, or just say hi to someone and be like, hey, you have a cool shirt. My name is whoever. And then the last thing is, think of all of these things in the vein of increasing your levels, and believe that, because in order for this RPG mindset to work, you have to believe that you will beat the game eventually. And I always believe that I will get to the places that I want to be. And so, whatever you do, however you're feeling, just say it's one step in me getting to this place that I want to reach and I can reach.
I'm getting experience points.
Yeah, you're getting experience points. And honestly, the biggest thing is just meditate every day, really, because I think you can improve your baseline happiness. And when you do that, or another incredible thing, God, I've given too many things. But you know what? If you're in a rut, all right, I'm going to say the Wim Hof breathing. I love Wim Hof breathing. This one is also really, really popular. If you try Wim Hof breathing and you don't like it, because I've shown it to some friends and some friends were like, this is amazing. I'm doing this every day. Other friends were like, this is amazing, but I keep missing days and now I stopped. And then other friends were like, okay, this isn't for me. And that's fine. You can try brain dumping into a journal, which is also really helpful. Or just the most simple thing, write 3 things that you're grateful for. Gratitude challenges, those are already a thing. Write 3 things that you're grateful for. Takes that frown, flips it upside down, but it does. And I do that every day. I have a 30-day challenge going for that. I haven't done mine today, and I'm going to do it after this call. So write 3 things that you're grateful for.
You.
Yeah, I guess it is. 3 things that you're grateful for.
So Ed, any last words, call to action, little bits of last advice before we close on up?
Call to action. Feel free to connect with me on Twitter. I'm at _Sturm, or I'm at Edward _Sturm. My first name _ last name. And our project is Commit Club. We're huge on 30-day challenges. You can Google 30-day challenge builder. You can Google Commit Club. You can find it on all over the internet. And message me directly at any time. My DMs are open on Twitter. You can message me on LinkedIn or on Discord or wherever. And I'd love to hear from anybody. And I hope this conversation, Joe, thank you for this conversation. I hope it helped people. I hope it was useful for people.
Thank you, Ed. I think that you've definitely helped contribute to the global consciousness and raise some people's levels.
Wow. Today. Thank you, Joe.
So thank you. Be excellent and grow today.